Hello everyone, welcome back to Project Articulation. Project I'm trying to do to become more articulate and better at my thinking. So I would like to talk about money today. In our 20s, I think money and love are the topics that are always on our minds, bro. It is crazy how money and love are always on our minds, and we are not experts at any of them. It's our first time being alive and in our 20s. So we are always in a state of uncertainty when it comes to money. Like, you don't know what, like, money is coming into your pocket, but it is going out at a faster rate. Like, bro, I had money yesterday. What happened? What happened? And I think social media makes these things worse because you see your age mates or like your friends, they're enjoying life. And it feels like these guys were told about something, like they were given the secret. And for some reason, you were not told about the secret of money. Like, people are enjoying every weekend, people are going out, and you're barely hanging on. Anyway, so I'd like to talk about personal finances today. So, if you're like me in your 20s, you probably haven't cracked this thing called money. And if you have, please just DM me ASP, because Jesus Christ, how do you guys do it? Anyway, so when it comes to your money, especially for personal finances, your personal money, you just have to know the ins and outs of your money, the cash flow. Where is your money going? Where is your money coming from? Of course, your money will go in very many places, but it will come in from very few sources of income, unless you're rich or have a rich family background, something like that. So, which brings me to the first piece of advice I've grasped when it comes to personal finances, and that is tracking your expenses. We take this lightly, but tracking your expenses is one of the most important things you can ever do, especially if you have very little money, of which, if you're listening, you kind of do. Or maybe I'm assuming. So I've always been into budgeting from the age of like 22 or 23. Yeah, I found this, like, I enjoy these kinds of things. So, but this year, man, bro, I moved away from home trying to figure out life, and this year my finances have been out of place, bro. It has been crazy over this side, like for the past for the past 6 months. Money, I've not been understanding where my money is going. Like, just now it has been crazy. But that was a very big mistake, not trying to track my money, especially when I was in that state of not having a lot of it, you know. And let me tell you why. If you track your finances, you actually realize something. And especially if you're brutally honest with yourself, you realize that actually the situation is worse than you thought. I know it's a dark thought, but it's true. Tracking your finances. Most of us don't like tracking our finances because we don't like to be restricted. Have a budget that dictates what you spend on. We don't like that. We don't like our illusions shattered. And that's a mistake. Like if I start budgeting, bro, I won't go for that concert. If I start budgeting and I know how much I have, I won't have CJ takeaways. I won't have a Netflix subscription. And I think it's okay. It's okay to budget, because if you think your budget is going to restrict your life in any way, shape, or form, I think you're looking at the wrong numbers. Most of us focus much on the expenses or how much we have to spend. For example, if you know anything about budgeting, they advise you to save some money, a percentage, 20 to 10%, to have to spend around 70 to 80% of your income, so that you have some savings. And people don't actually like being told what to do. That's true, man. People don't like being told what to do, especially when someone telling them what to do is themselves. So if you think your budget is going to restrict your life, I think you're looking at the wrong numbers. The number you should focus on is the income column. Instead of thinking, I'm going to have little money to spend on the things that I want, when you try to do a budget, it will actually show you that you need to grow your income. You will think on how to grow your income. So and what makes things worse is the internet, bro. The internet makes things worse. For example, I'll take me as an example here. I'm into motorcycles. I like motorcycles. And unfortunately, YouTube and my newsfeed app, they know this. I'm constantly bombarded with content about motorcycles. And right now I have a perfectly functioning motorcycle. I bought it 2 years back. Yeah, 2 years back. It's back. It's functioning. It's okay. It can get me where I want. But I keep seeing these videos and I'm like, bro, maybe I need a new one. Not just a new one. I need a more powerful motorcycle. One that has an ABS, cruise control, 94 horsepower. And all this means that I need a more expensive motorcycle. I don't actually need, but I just want a more expensive motorcycle that looks cool and all that. But that is unrealistic. Instead of me giving into all my desires, and if I approach my budget in that way and I'm like, I'm going to grow my income so that I can afford this motorcycle, I will just become a slave to my desires. Because the moment you get that motorcycle, you'll go on to the next thing. Maybe I need a new phone. I need a more expensive phone. And all that. These things never end. They never end. So now that we know that we need to track our expenses, and now that we know we need to grow our income, let's move on to the next section, which is how do you actually track your expenses? It's actually a fairly simple question to answer, but a hard one to do in practice. So in the past, how I've been doing it is that nothing complicated. You just note down the things you have spent on that day. Every day you note down the things you have spent on and how much money you've gotten. If you're lucky and you have a job and salary is salary is predictable. You can just note down the salary at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. Then you budget for that salary in advance. You know that I'm going to spend around 70% of this salary on expenses, rent, food, groceries, all that. And you're like, I'm going to save 20 to 30% or 10%. Nothing complicated. And every day you note down the expenses you've spent on, and it gives you a picture on how much you have to spend on and how much is left, so that you don't overspend. You may think you have money, only to check your bank account you have zero, and you have to borrow money to reach the next paycheck, which makes the next paycheck already less before it even comes. I've been there, guys. I've been there. It's not fun. So just note down your expenses at the end of the day. And with every habit, this is really hard. I know it's hard to start tracking your expenses, but one way I was doing it in the past is that I would set an alarm or a reminder on my phone, and around every 7 to 8 p.m. the alarm would go, or the reminder would go on my phone, and like, oh, I have to enter the expenses I spent on today. So yeah, that's how I've been doing it. And I was using my phone, nothing complicated. I've used when I had an iPhone, I used there are templates in Numbers. I think Apple has an app called Numbers that is the equivalent to Google Sheets on Android phones. So I was using Numbers, and there are templates already made. So right now I use Google Sheets. There are templates already made. You just customize them to meet your needs, but they get the job done. Even Excel is a good tool. There are also apps out there. Some are for paying for. I think most are for paying for. But Google Sheets, Numbers, Excel, they get the job done. So let's move on to something more personal. And I think it may just help you spend less money. And this is your money personality. Excuse me. Now, there's this quote I really love by a psychologist, Carl Jung. The quote says, if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That quote is so good. Or simply put, know thyself. That's by Socrates. But our behavior towards everything in our lives is dictated by our personality, our beliefs, our personal experiences. Everyone has, everyone's three things. Everyone's personality, beliefs, and personal experiences is personal to them. And this is also going to dictate how you spend your money. And I've searched for the perfect or the precise money personality types on YouTube. I've read articles. I've used ChatGPT, Gemini, and they all give you different answers. But I was able to summarize, I think, to get at least 4 of them, general types, in my opinion. That's my opinion. So guys, make your research. I'm not an expert here. And the 4 money personality types I came up with were spenders, savers, avoiders, risk takers, or the ones they call the investors. So let's break them down one by one. So who are spenders? Like, I think everyone has an idea who a spender is, and I think everyone has seen who a spender is. So these are the guys who live in the moment. They worry less about the future. They just want to have a good time in that moment. They don't care. Budgeting, what is that? So, what are their strengths? These guys are generous with their money. They are the ones that will spend money in the club on everyone. They enjoy life. I think most importantly, they don't see money as the end goal. They see money as a tool to have a good moment. But what are their weaknesses? Now, I think you can guess their weaknesses. These guys can fall into debt because they will come to the club, they'll spend all the money, and tomorrow, nothing. They are impulsive. They are likely to live paycheck to paycheck, which is not nice. So what are the tips you can have? You can use if you know you're a spender, you blow your money in the club. Have a budget. Have a budget of spending. Like, know which money you're going to spend on, but also know the percentage of money from your income you're going to save, and save that money before you start spending. It will save you a lot. Let's move on to savers. Who are savers? Savers are the guys who want security. They want stability. They always have a plan for the future. They are the boring guys. They don't spend a lot. So what are their strengths? They are aware of their situation. They are more likely to achieve financial stability, debt-free, and yeah, they are careful with their money. That's what I can say. But what are their weaknesses? Everyone has a weakness. These guys might miss out on life, on experiences. They can't spend on themselves, which is in itself something really terrible. You have to experience life. They are risk averse when it comes to investing. They overanalyze. They take a lot of time to make a decision when it comes to money. So what are the tips you can use if you are a saver? Set money aside to enjoy life. Like, this is like the opposite of a spender. Spender has no problem spending their money, but a saver, they have a problem spending their money. So set money aside to enjoy life. Explore more risky ventures. Don't over risk, but try exposing yourself to risky ventures. Have a budget for that. Set deadlines to make final decisions. Like, if you have a financial decision to make, be like, I have to make this decision in like 2 days or 3 days. Give yourself ample time, but make a decision. Let's move on. Avoiders. Who is an avoider? Now, avoiders are the guys who think money is evil. They avoid their finances. They kind of have a phobia to look at their finances. They don't want to know the situation they are in. They just leave things out there. They're like, bro, no, I want to look at my money. So they also have strengths, funny enough. So the strength of an avoider is that money isn't the center of their world. Money can live rent-free from their brains. They can live a very well-balanced life without thinking about money. So they value other things. They may value the friendships they have around and all that. Weaknesses. They often run into debt. Huge debts. because they avoid their money. What did you think if you avoid your finances? So what are the tips we can have for avoiders? Financial literacy. Know the finance world. How do I save? What can I use? How can I invest? And all that, etc. Try to do bill automations. Seek out financial advice. Let's move on to the risk takers or the investors, the crypto guys, the forex guys. These guys are bad. They can bet money. So they just like seeing their money multiply, although it rarely does, because they take on huge risky investments. So what are their strengths? Their strengths is that they are good at making money, and their risk tolerance is really high. Weaknesses, as you've guessed, they can easily lose money on risky ventures. They are drawn to get rich quick schemes, forex, crypto, betting. Those are the guys, the investors. So what are the tips for these guys they can use? Try to set money aside for safety in case your investments don't pay off, of which most of them might not. Like save up some money so that you're safe. The problem is that after you've blown your money in betting, forex, or crypto, you may come for your savings, but try to be disciplined in that area. So one thing I found out as I was trying to find out more about these money personality types is that actually none of us are one of the 4 types. For example, me, I would take me as an example. I'm actually a combination of the three, which is saver, spender, and investor. So depending on the day or time, I oscillate between those 3. I'm not an avoider. So why is this important? This is important because it shows you where and how you spend your money in very bad ways, and it helps you know the tips to mitigate that spending or that avoiding or something. For example, since I have traits of a spender, I can notice myself going to spend on something I really don't need, or trying to spend on something I need but I don't have the money at the moment. So this helps me to be like, you know what, I can't spend right now because I don't have the money, or I really don't need this thing. So it's good to know who you are. So find out who you are, really. There are these tools online that can help you know your money type. So you just go online, you answer a few questions, and they will give you a relatively fair answer. But I've taken multiples of these from the internet to find out what exactly I am. I don't think they are so accurate, but yeah, they're out there if you need them. So now let's talk about something I think I've failed to implement in my life for a very long time. Not my life, but in my personal finances. But I think I really need it now, and that is an emergency fund. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. An emergency fund is something that it makes sense on paper, but it is really hard to do. Like, how can I have money just sitting there. How? Okay, personally for me it's hard, and I've tried it in the past, because the first time I tried to save for an emergency fund, I spent that money buying a new phone. The second attempt I made, I spent that money on a trip. So clearly, I'm the problem. Maybe I just don't know what an emergency fund is. Like, I don't know what an emergency is. So with that, I think let's find out what is an emergency fund for, and what is it really. So most of us have come across this thing called an emergency fund. But the idea is that you try to calculate the monthly expenses, and for the essentials, that's really, really important. And I'm going to tell you why. Try to calculate your average monthly expenses, and save up that money for 3 to 6 months, depending on your income level. And what is this money for? This money is for an emergency. Emergency. In case you lose a job, you get a healthy emergency, you get a life emergency, and if you live on earth, something unexpected will happen, like 100%. You can't know what the future has in store for you. So you keep that money to keep you safe, like to give you a buffer in case something happens, and you can handle it and not fall into debt, essentially. Yeah, so that's basically what an emergency fund is. Just have money saved up, waiting for an emergency to happen. Spend it on an emergency. Yeah. Now that you know what an emergency fund is and what it's used for, I think let me try to tell you the tips I'm trying to employ to successfully save up for an emergency fund this time. And tip number 1 would be only save for the essentials. That's what matters. I think in the past, I would save for even the wants that I want, the non-essentials. Like, I would think I would want to go out, I would want to have some nice takeaways. So I try to get that figure and I save it, it was crazy, because it's a big number, which is discouraging. In the end, you will not do it. So know what your essentials are. Food, rent. It's not crazy to know the essentials. Food, rent, and of course some things are becoming essentials these days. Wi-Fi, electricity, water. No, water has always been an essential. But yeah, know what your essentials are. Tip number 2 would be start small. This is easy to say, but just start small. You're not going to save up an emergency fund of 3 months, like to have an emergency fund of 3 months in like 1 month. Where are you getting all that money? It's not doable. Like, you don't have a lot of income coming in, and you have a lot of things to spend on. So start small. Just get a percentage of your income, let's say 10-20%, save it aside. It's okay to have like 1 month's fund emergency. It's not even a rule to have 3 months fund emergency. You can have 2, you can have 1, but it's okay to save up for that 1 month in like 3 months or 2 months. If, for example, you need like 500 for your essentials, it's okay to save up this month. You save up like 150. Next month you save up like 100, like that. building small, and have the discipline not to touch that money. So start small, save up small, let your emergency fund grow, not just planting it. Give it time to grow, it will grow. Hopefully no emergencies will show up as you're trying to save up for an emergency fund, which is, it will happen, but anyway, you have a workaround around that. Tip number 3 is money separation. Money separation. Now, this is a bit tricky because it requires you to know yourself. Like we said up there, you have to know yourself. There are two points in this, actually. Money separation is that know the things you normally spend money on that you don't need. I would say know the things you stupidly spend money on and have a budget for them. What do I mean? For example, in the past, when I tried to save up for an emergency fund, I didn't account for the fact that, okay, I have a group of my boys and we get together once in a year. We plan a small adventure trip around the country and we go explore. So in the past, I knew this was there, but I was saving up for an emergency fund. I wasn't saving up for this thing. So obviously when this trip came up, the only money I had was in the emergency fund. So I just used that money. So money separation means that separate your budgets. Know that this money is for emergencies, this money is for enjoying, this money is for buying new gadgets, this money is for buying new clothes. I know we don't have a lot of money, so there's a lot of things. But what I mean here is that know the things that give you joy. If for you it's shopping, if for you it's traveling and all that, know that and try to save for that. Then another point on money separation is that separate the accounts into which the emergency fund money is. You can't put your emergency fund money on your mobile money. Like, are you crazy? You're going to use that money on data, on something useless. So get an account for your emergency money fund and try to ensure that the emergency money fund is not easily accessible to help you save up, like effectively save for that money. So yeah, those are my 3 tips I'm going to try to employ in my life. Maybe you can try too. So to wrap up with this personal finance topic, as I conclude, before we go out there and try to make a lot of money for the sake of having money, because these days people just want money. We just want money, like twagala sente. You know, we should figure out what really matters to us, and money is a tool. Money is a tool that we can use to achieve the things that really matter in our lives. I know this is not a one-day task, like trying to sit down and figure out what really matters to me, what gives me joy. And I think in our 20s, we don't have a lot of experiences. I would say try out lots of things to know what really matters to you. Because some people like having the latest iPhone. Some people like having new clothes, new bags, new perfumes, new shoes. And some people don't care about those things. Some people care about traveling, spending money on the people they love, spending money on themselves, and all that. Excuse me. I'm not saying these are wrong ways to spend money on, but no, there's this truly fulfill me. If it does, then all well and good. Make money to spend on those things that truly fulfill you. And in the end, we all die. In the end, we all die. It's useless to die with a lot of money. It's actually very useless. So do what you want, but know what you're doing. And with that, I hope you gained something out of this recording. Hear me in the next one. Peace.